Dear President Buhari, please permit me to exercise my inalienable right as a citizen of Nigeria, the right to speak freely. I know you must be tired of all the open letters addressed to you, most of them insulting and challenging the quality of leadership you provide, but mine is a bit different. This is the first of a two-part letter which seeks to paint the true picture of Nigeria and global affairs to you, and encourage you to do what is right by those who God has allowed you lead at a time such as this. The letters will also proffer some common sense solutions. Only God knows how long your reign will last, but it is important I show you how the decisions you make today will affect the course of history. Never in the history of our country have we needed our president to work for us like we do now. Nigeria, a country at war, is also plagued with kidnappings, murdering herdsmen, bandits, high unemployment rates, and now the coronavirus and all the problems that come with it. Mr. President, having faith in God, you must now put on the heart of wisdom and the Barbaric of courage to lead us. Our charter with you means that we must follow you, trusting that all your actions are guided by what is best for country and countrymen. The road ahead is winding and steep. The weather is dangerous. Those who govern and the governed must be in sync to get to their destination. This is what lies ahead of us. Experts tell us that the coronavirus is likely to infect up to 70% of the world's population. This means about 5.3 billion of the world's population will be infected. Experts have also said that about 1% of those infected will die, but what we see so far suggests that 5% of those affected are dying. If we go by their experts' predictions, then we expect that about 53 million people worldwide will die. The experts have also told us that your age group is the most vulnerable, and we all know that most of the world's political and economic power is domiciled within your age group. We have also seen by the spread pattern that the coronavirus has no respect for office or person, which means that decisions made by leaders like yourself have to be selfless and across board for all humanity. Countries are taking proactive and reactive measures to protect their citizens and their way of life. Nigeria, the country you lead, will be one of the most affected countries. The coronavirus attacks our health, way of life, and economy. We don't have the public health infrastructure to manage this disaster. We lack the data gathering mechanism to even begin to know who and what areas are affected. The most basic investigation will show that since late December, a lot of people were already showing symptoms of the COVID-19 virus. As is typical with most Nigerians, we self-medicate. We go to the closest pharmacy and ask for flu medication because most people want to avoid paying the doctor or know that after paying the doctor, what you most probably hear is that you have malaria. Pharmacies have been selling more flu medicine than normal without knowing what was going on. Doctors were telling us that we had a viral infection which will go the way it came. I personally experienced this. The whole world was already reacting to this as our December ending, but we just woke up a few weeks ago. Do you honestly believe that we have less than 30 confirmed cases as is reported by the NCDC? I can assure you Nigeria has nothing less than 5,000 active infection cases right now, all nursing their flu-like symptoms at home and spreading the virus to everyone else. Are you aware that the NCDC, which should be at the forefront of fighting this plague, is challenged by administrative, procedural, and funding constraints with the Ministry of Health? You have a calamity of unprecedented proportions on your hands. This calamity has severely impacted the oil industry, which happens to be the mainstay of our economy. The world is going to go into a long period of hibernation, which means global demand for oil will drastically reduce. As people all over the world self-isolate and work from home, there will be less demand for mobility. Most countries have shut their borders, which means air travel will be mostly non-existent very soon. Industries are also shutting down worldwide, so who will then buy our inefficiently produced oil? Baba, I might be telling you something you already know, but your actions suggest that you don't understand the seriousness of the situation. When all hell breaks loose very soon, it will be clear to all that your actions and body language are important. We don't have the necessary reserves to protect the naira, and as of last week, you were trying to borrow to fund some of the most bizarre projects. Mr. President, you are only as good as your advisors, and I want to boldly tell you that the team around you cannot help you or Nigeria. You need to assemble the very best Nigeria has around you and your most capable vice president now. We are all imperiled. You need to first and foremost understand the historicity of plagues like this and then plan accordingly. This plague is likely to be with us for at least 2 years, but we seem to think some miracle cures around the corner. Countries in the forefront of research for a vaccine for the COVID-19 virus are now saying they expect this to be around for 18 months to 2 years. So why are we so relaxed? We need to plan for the worst and pray for the best. Are you aware that there's also a plague of locusts that has been ravaging some parts of Africa? Experts also say that the locusts are still breeding at an alarming rate and will affect most of Africa and the Middle East. Surely you must know what this means. All we have seen so far is disjointed statements announcing the closure of schools and some borders. We have also heard the closure of all airports to international traffic, but this doesn't address the fact that coronavirus is already in Nigeria and spreading rapidly. We have also heard the CBN say they will use 1 trillion naira as a stimulus for some critical sectors of the economy. We know how those things work here. Mr. President, what you have before you threatens the existence of our nation. If you want to save the lives of the innocent who have no say in how you run their affairs, but trust God that you always do right by them, then you are faced with only one choice: shut down the country immediately. Quarantine the whole country and ensure nobody comes in through any of our borders until the rest of the world is secure. Anything less than this will lead to the loss of thousands of lives. Baba, please understand that only one infected person who comes in from Niger Republic through Daura is enough to infect 40% of the Nigerian population. So even if you shut down all the airports, as long as your land and seaports are porous, you are wasting your time. Nigeria does not have the public health infrastructure to support a pandemic of this nature. The only way to beat this is to end it right now. But this is where it gets tricky. Can Nigeria afford a total shutdown when millions already live below poverty line and depend on daily menial jobs to survive? What of the drivers, cooks, maids, shop assistants, mechanics who live on less than 30,000 naira monthly? What happens to them in the event of a shutdown? How do we pay our sovereign bills or piling domestic and foreign debts? How do you pay salaries of a bloated public sector? If a stay-at-home order is enforced, how do you generate income from taxes, customs, or your other revenue-generating agencies? How many weeks or months do we have before money fails in Nigeria? God help Nigeria. Please add all your other problems to this situation and let's see where we stand. As a retired army general, you know that being exposed on multiple flanks or fighting multiple wars with limited men and weapons is akin to a suicide mission.